All right, let's get rolling. Hello and welcome everyone to the Resource Management Institute's Q1 Power Up. We're glad you're here. We're looking forward to talking about resource management excellence today. My name is Nick Cochran. I'm with the Resource Management Institute, and you can see I've got Ryan Childers here with me as well. One quick thing before I get into introducing the RMI and getting into our content is Ryan and I come to you from central Indiana, and the Midwest right now is kind of getting hammered a little bit with some weather. So we've already had the power go out once today, and so we will just if something happens to our connection or anything like that, we'll of course apologize in advance if that does happen. If it does, we'll re-record this and make sure we get it out to everyone who's registered. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it through the next 29 minutes here without any issues. Okay, but before we dive into the content, I do want to just take a minute to introduce the Resource Management Institute for anybody who's maybe not familiar or maybe not familiar with everything that we do. But you can see there at the top, we are dedicated to advancing the discipline of resource management and workforce management through thought leadership, best practices, and standards. Our purpose is pretty simple, but powerful. We want to elevate how the world plans and manages its people. Everything we do ties back to that mission, including being on this Power Up session today. You can see four core ways that we at the RMI work to support resource management organizations and practitioners. The first there is methods. So we have built the just-in-time resourcing framework, which is the leading methodology for enabling efficient, scalable, real-world resource management practices. These best practices and standards really form the foundation for organizations that want to get their resource management to a higher level or have resource management excellence like we're talking about today. Next is insights. So we conduct ongoing market research to provide organizations with actionable data. It helps leaders identify trends, benchmark performance, uncover opportunities for improvement. You're going to get a chance to see some of that data in action today. So Ryan's going to share some of that. Then we have collaboration. So we host industry events that bring together resource management professionals from around the world. Today is one of those events, but we do have a big event coming up next month in the Resource Management Global Symposium, or what we affectionately call RMGS. You're going to hear more about that in just a little bit, but we're really excited about the lineup of speakers, the content, networking opportunities that we have planned. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. So again, we'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit. Education is another key pillar. So we've got training and certification programs. The certification program being RMCP, if you've not heard of that. But we equip individuals and teams with the skills, tools, and confidence to lead and execute resource management at the highest level. And the final piece there is advisory services. So any organization that's looking to build or mature their resource management capability, we provide guidance, coaching, hands-on expertise, help companies accelerate their journey to resource management excellence, which leads right into our topic for today, which is RM Excellence. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Childers, who's the Managing Director of the Resource Management Institute. Not going to find anybody that's more passionate about resource management. So Ryan, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And hello, everyone. Welcome to our first Power Up of 2026. It's good to be with everyone here today. We've got a great topic at hand in the form of resource management excellence. And I'll say for the next 25 minutes or so, we're going to deep dive into a ton of data. And so game plan for today's session, because we're going to focus so heavily on our market research here, I wanted to take just a couple of minutes I'm going to take a couple of minutes to just shed some light on what it is we do in terms of our survey series, our research reports, and I want to give you some access to all of our research in our research library. And so we're going to talk about that first. And then because our focus is on resource management excellence, I thought we would just simply define what that means and really what it means to all of us. We'll take then a journey through our Q1 survey, which is our inhibitors to effective resource management. And so we're going to pull out a whole bunch of data and observations from the survey and start to talk about those. We'll then get into a focus path forward for 2026, and then we'll share a few updates along the way. Now, we are open to questions. What I will tell you is the best way to get questions to us is through the Q&A icon in Zoom. Put those in there. We are a little limited on time. We're trying to have this be a really, really focused and condensed session to pack a bunch of punch into it. And so when we take those questions, we'll address them offline and get responses out to you after the session. Okay, with that, let's get into our market research. And so just shining a little bit of a light on the method to the madness here in terms of collecting and bringing benchmark data to you. And so just by way of structure for us, we run surveys every quarter. And a lot of times those are surveys that we run on our own. We also run surveys where we collaborate with technology providers. And those surveys are free for all of you to complete and provide your perspective. So that's kind of a cool opportunity to contribute to the industry and to advancing the resource management profession. We do give you PCUs, by the way, to participate in those surveys. So kind of a cool way to double dip, get some insight, and get some PCUs as well. So surveys every quarter, we take the data from those surveys and turn them into market research reports. And a sample of some of our topics that we do surveys and produce reports on are what you see there on the right side of the screen. Of course, today's focus is on the one that is at the top of the list there. The idea here is we want to arm you with a whole bunch of benchmark data that you can then compare your operation to your peers and see where you have strengths, where you have opportunities for improvement in ultimately the pursuit of resource management excellence. So with that, I'll give you the biggest QR code you'll probably see all week. There on the right side of the screen, if you follow the QR code, it will take you out to where we house all of our market research. And the cool thing here is all of our research is free for Resource Management Institute members. And by the way, it is free to join the RMI. So great opportunity to get benchmark data that you can put to use right away. Okay, let's get into our topic at hand. Let's talk about the pursuit of resource management excellence. And really, we want to focus this. We spend a lot of time and energy really prescribing what resource management excellence looks like and the things we need to do in order to head down that path and really try to get there. Today, we're going to focus on the things that get in the way. And so we're going to pull out our Inhibitors to Effective Resource Management survey. We're going to take a look at the data. And I want to give you a little bit of background on where this survey came from, where the study came from. And so this is the 5th time we've run this particular study. It goes all the way back to 2018. The whole intent here was to dive into the people, the process, and the technology challenges that we all have that are holding us back from getting to resource management excellence and getting to better outcomes through resource management. Now, from a demographic standpoint, we had a really diverse group of professionals complete our study. Those included service executives, resource managers, RMO leaders, project managers, and other delivery leaders. They came from 81 different organizations and represented a pretty broad spectrum of industries. And you see the list there on the right side of the screen. So pretty diverse input that went into the study. So we're going to dive into this. So before we get into the data itself, I wanted to take just a second and really focus on our definition of resource management excellence. And I always think of, when I get asked the question, what's good actually look like in our organizations when it comes to resource management? Well, this is how we define it. And this is how we've defined it for a long time. When your organization can consistently and predictably, and those are two really, really powerful words that really bring all of this together. When you can consistently and predictably get the right person in the right place at the right time, if we can do that, what I always say is good things happen. And those good things are we deliver our projects on time, on budget, and with good quality. It goes a long way towards helping us achieve our target utilization. So being able to optimize utilization, not just at the individual level, not just at the project level, not just at the team level, but across the entire population of our delivery pool. Producing satisfied customers, whether it's an internal customer, external customer, doesn't matter. Customer satisfaction is a big, big deal. And we play a part in getting to satisfied customers. From an employee perspective, we help drive better employee satisfaction, better employee engagement as well. So let's get into our survey. And I wanted to just talk for a second about how we're going to approach our deep dive into the data here. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a big reveal. Big reveal on the largest inhibitors to effective resource management. That's coming right out of our 2026 survey. We're then going to take a couple of those and we're going to tease them out. and we're going to dive a little bit deeper. And the approach I want to take is I'm going to show you data from the 2026 survey. I'm then going to bring in some trend data that goes all the way back to 2018 so that we can see what's gotten better, what's gotten a little worse, and then we'll look at hotspots in each area. And so where we're going to focus, and I'll tell you what's coming here, where we're going to focus, we're going to talk about process and data, we're going to talk about automation, and then new to the survey this year is we introduced more questions around AI. And so we'll talk about some AI use and the current state of where that's at, some of the things that are holding us back, and really, really cool, a first look at where folks are starting to utilize AI in resource management. So that's a look at what's coming. Okay. So what gets in the way? The big reveal. We'll go to the survey. What are the biggest inhibitors in 2026 to effective resource management? Well, it starts with data. 67% of survey respondents reported that their largest inhibitor or a big inhibitor in their organization was the lack of accurate or timely data to support resource management. Now, one of the things, and we footnoted this there in the right hand corner of the screen, one of the things you're going to notice is some big numbers here. Respondents had the opportunity to select more than one inhibitor. So as you see big numbers and you do the math and you say, well, that's adding up to more than 100. That's right. We allowed multiple responses here. So I wanted to put that out there for everyone. 49% of respondents said they have automation issues, lack of automation tools that effectively support their resource management processes. 40% reported they have support issues. And what we mean by that is they're dealing with challenges with organizational support or dealing with challenges of getting executive support in behind resource management. And 30%, you're going to see this here in just a second. This is the place where we saw the biggest shift year over year. 30% reported they have process issues, and that came in the form of lack of process design and or implementation. And I'll save the big reveal on what the number one challenge is from a process standpoint for just a second here. So let's look at this from a trending standpoint. And so we introduced as an option in 2026, we introduced data, and we kind of saw this coming. And so we wanted to see if our hypothesis around data becoming a bigger and bigger issue, if that was true or not. And so we added lack of accurate or timely data to support resource management as one of the options here. So it makes its debut and immediately tops the charts. It tops the charts at 67%. And so what's interesting as we analyze this, it's really reframing the problem around effective resource management and what gets in the way from we need better tools or process to we've got to get better data flowing through our tools and flowing through our processes. And so we've seen, and we've heard this from members we've talked with, investments have been made in process and automation tools, and that's been fantastic to see. You really see that pop in the data, but now our bottleneck, it's moved more upstream to data quality, data timeliness, and integration. And that's what we see not only here, but you're going to see it later on today as part of this session. You'll see it in our research report when we get into the automation section as well. And so let's start to deep dive here a bit into some of these hotspot areas. And I wanted to just go back to something we started with in our State of Resource Management address back in January of this year. One of the observations we offered was process discipline and resource management data quality are now inseparable. And we really see that playing out in our inhibitors survey here. And so one of the things we also shared at State of RM was this observation as well. So reliable resource management data is moving from what we used to think of as a differentiator. If we had good quality resource management data, great, we've got a leg up. We can really get going in resource management. That's the way we kind of thought about it. It's changed. It's not a differentiator any longer. It's a minimum requirement. It's table stakes. We've got to have good data in order to get it flowing through our processes, flowing through our tools in order to be effective at resource management in the first place. And so you see our words here, the pursuit of smarter insights, faster decision-making exposes a really hard truth that we need to come to grips with. Intelligence, and this is foreshadowing AI in a big, big way here, intelligence is only as strong as the data behind it. And that's the fancy way of saying garbage in is still going to be garbage out. And so we know most organizations still have, and our survey proved this out, still have data quality and reliability issues that have to be resolved. So if we think about some of the observations we saw from a process standpoint as well, the number one inhibitor to process process success in resource management is simply adherence. People following our processes. 59% reported resource management processes in the organization are not consistently followed. And so let's look at this from a trend standpoint and look at some of the other responses that were here. The question we asked is regarding process support for resource management as an inhibitor. Our current RM process is, and you see not consistently followed, holding true from 2024 into 2026. Interestingly, we did see some pretty good improvement from a design standpoint right here, and I'll put my cursor down here. Not supported with good process training dropped as well. So those are really, really good signs and really a sign of where investment has been made in organizations. So cool to see that part. We've got some work to do from a process adherence standpoint. And so where's the hotspot, right? Where are the hotspots from a process perspective? No surprise here, the defending 5-time world champion in terms of being the largest inhibitor process-wise is still forecasting capacity planning. We've seen some improvement in skills and in RM governance. And those are places I'll tell you we've really, really pressed. And we've seen technology providers press as well in terms of some of the tools and the capabilities that they're going to market with. So that's a positive sign for all of us as well. But forecasting capacity planning still continues to plague us. And what I'll tell you is this is a place where we're going to make an investment from a content standpoint and from a leadership standpoint. We're going to devote our Q2 Power Up. So let's fast forward to June. And our Q2 Power Up, it's going to be on this idea of capturing, perfecting, and automating, or getting our demand data right. So we want to really start to move the needle here on getting better at forecasting and capacity planning. So big focus in our Q2 Power Up. We're also going to make this a big point of emphasis at RMGS. So Nick mentioned we're going to talk a lot about RMGS here today. Coming up in April, this forecasting capacity planning, you'll see it in our keynote sessions. You'll see it in our breakout sessions. You'll see it in our panel discussions and in our table topic peer-to-peer learning experiences as well. Forecasting capacity planning has to get better. We've got to move the needle here. And so we're going to do our best to help. Okay. With that, let's move on to automation. So we'll move from data and process into automation. And an interesting observation I want to lead with here from the survey data is 99% of respondents, so humongous number, 99% report the need to see some improvement in their automation tool. 43% recognize it's a known area for improvement. Another 42% said their current tool is somewhat effective, but could definitely be improved. 14% have identified their tool is ready for replacement. So interesting to see the spread here. When we now dip into how that's trended year over year, you can start to see a little bit of movement. And what I think is interesting is what you see towards the center section of the screen here. And it's on this idea of rip and replace. And so respondents have really cooled from this idea. And we saw it really peak in our last survey in 2024. This idea of ripping and repeating is down to 14%. And so now what we're looking at is most respondents are trying to drive improvements or gains from configuration, integration, increasing data standards, and not just looking at a new tool as this silver bullet that's going to come in and fix everything. And so, the idea would be, let's get our system of record stabilized. Let's fix big integration gaps. And you're going to see that here in a little bit greater detail in just a second. Those are the things that really damage our resource management data. And let's get a few dashboards out there that make the idea of adhering to our process and where we have deficiencies there, make that a lot more visible to the organization so that we can get it cleaned up. So let's look at our trends when it comes to our current inhibitors for automation support. Where we really see this pop is on integration with front-end systems and back office support as well. And so you really see that playing out right at the top of the screen here, at the top of the chart. Interestingly, for a long, long time, one of the big factors we heard from RMI members, and we saw it in our survey data, was our automation tools simply lacked features that we feel like we need in order to be effective. That's really come down from a peak of 71% in 2020 to now 57% in 2026. So still not out of the woods here. Over half of organizations feel like they need more features in their solution, but it's certainly come down from that peak in 2020. And then dashboarding capabilities have gotten significantly better as well. So good to see some progress on that front. Future automation support. So this is what I think of as just where are our hotspots. Again, no surprise, forecasting, capacity planning from an automation standpoint, in addition to our process perspective, still tops the charts here. So you can see what that looks like. Again, looking at support, we see reporting dashboards and data and analytics coming down from where it was in 2022 and 2024 as well. We know we've had technology providers making improvements to skills capabilities and their skills database and some of the functionality there. So we see that play out in a big way in the data as well. So just a couple of highlights there I wanted to point out. Okay, let's talk about the hot topic. Let's talk about what we saw from an AI usage and adoption standpoint. So we're going to do a little compare and contrast as to where the data has been and where it was in our survey here in Q1. And we'll start at the top and we asked a really simple question. It was question 17 in the Inhibitor survey. Are you currently using AI to support resource management? Just a simple yes or no. The data was interesting. 80% said no, and only 20% said yes. So I'll say on one hand, I'm a little surprised. On the other, probably not really, just from everything we're seeing and hearing. We know that there's a lot of talk around AI in life in general. Technology providers in the PSA, PPM, and RPM space are talking about AI a great deal as well. It seems like usage is that thing that is still coming, and that's what the data told us here. And so I wanted to go back and just bring in some extra data to help us here. And so I'm going to take us back to September of last year. So at RMI Connect, we simply showed a really easy look at an AI adoption curve. And there are a whole bunch of AI adoption curves out there. They all basically say the same things, use similar words, but this is what adoption in AI starts to look like. And so we pose the question at RMI Connect, where is your organization? And I underline organization because we're not talking about the RMO, we're talking specifically about the organization as a whole. If you go back and you look at those 5 stages of AI adoption, and we'll add to the list, we haven't done anything with it. Where is your organization along that curve when it comes to AI? And what we heard back in September of 2025, and we had about 200 people respond to this poll question that we asked at RMI Connect. About half of organizations at that point in time were actively experimenting with AI. Not very many were at the systematic level, and we're still looking for that one person who said they were AI native. I think there was literally one person that went with that response, but the interesting thing was nearly half of organizations were experimenting at that point in time. We asked a second poll question. Now talk to us about your RM function. Using that same adoption curve, where is your RMO? Where is your RM function when it comes to AI? And what we saw is 58% of respondents at that point in time reported that their RM function was lagging behind the greater organizational adoption of AI. So kind of interesting. Now, fast forward to Q1 of 2026, so just a few months later, we asked the question again, where is your resource management function along the AI adoption curve? Using those same options, same choices, the data got a lot more streamlined. So what we saw is 57% are actively experimenting with AI. So go back, we were at 48% of organizations experimenting, RMOs lagging behind. We're now at 57% experimenting. So if you'll recall at RMI Connect, big call to action we issued was you got to get started. We doubled down on that at our Q4 Power Up that was specifically on AI usage and adoption in RMOs. We said, you got to get going. You got to get going. State of RM, same message. You got to get going, got to get going. we saw it play out in the data here. So 57% are actively experimenting with AI. So really cool to see the uptick there. Now, big reveal, what are we doing with it? So if we're using AI in resource management, how are we starting to use it? And this is a first look at what that usage is actually starting to materialize and look like in RMOs. And so whether it's data and insights, skills and talent, intelligence, process and workflow automation, staffing and delivery enablement, and then some platform embedded or custom AI, you start to see some of those things that are happening here. Now, I have to put a little bit of a caveat on the data. Go back to where our usage is. It was the 80-20 rule, right? 80% not using it. This is a little bit of a small sample set of the population in terms of who's actually using AI and resource management, but you can start to see where that usage is taking place. So kind of cool to see some of this stuff popping out. We're going to get into a lot more of this as we get into not only 2026, but specifically at RMGS. And then again, as our power-ups progress throughout the year as well. The other place where we're going to really focus on AI is in all of our surveys as part of our survey series in 2026 and obviously beyond, we will have an AI component that ties back to the theme of that particular survey. So we're going to continue to measure and monitor as AI usage and adoption progresses in RM teams. One of the other questions that we asked in this particular inhibitor survey is we said, okay, if you're not utilizing AI in resource management, what's getting in the way? Again, the theme was around inhibitors. So what are the inhibitors that are preventing your adoption of AI in resource management? And the number one inhibitor that we saw was bandwidth. So 71% reported they have bandwidth issues that are keeping them from getting into AI. 53% said they have data issues. And so they don't trust and can't rely on the data that they have. And so they're hesitant to get it into AI and start to make use of it. 48% said they had concerns about the accuracy or the risk that comes with infusing AI into their operation. 41% said they had a skill gap in their RM team. And this is another question where some of the numbers are a little bit bigger because you could select multiple options here as well. And so kind of interesting to look at this. If you're one of those that have bandwidth issues, what I'll tell you is you got to fight for some capacity in your own time to be able to start trying AI and getting started with it. I think trying it builds comfort, builds confidence, and so we've got to put some work in here. So the observation that I'll leave you with here is the play that we outlined at State of RM back in January, as we said, the play for 2026, that play still holds. We've got to continue to focus on strengthening the discipline, and that really revolves around our work around process and data, getting our processes right, getting our data right. We also have to continue exploring the intelligence, the emerging intelligence that's going to come into resource management in a big, big way from automation and from AI. And so that play still holds, and we are going to get into that play in significantly greater detail in all things RMGS. So I'll put that out there for you as well. So your call to action, as you take in the data and what we would prescribe as we've processed and analyzed this data to death, we've really got to invest in continuing to strengthen the discipline. So continue the pursuit of resource management maturity and resource management excellence. That really needs to go without saying. When it comes to automation, the place to go is to target integration, right? Integration, improvement, front end, back end, integration with tools that are part of our technology ecosystem. And then you got to keep exploring the intelligence. Get going with AI. At a minimum, start using AI tools that are readily available to you to analyze data and give yourselves a chance to get comfortable with how you can infuse AI into your organization and to your RM team as well. So 3 big areas that you can continue to focus here. Okay, I want to talk for just a second. We'll go over our 30-minute window for just a second here. I want to talk about our upcoming event, because all of these things that we've been touching on at State of RM, at our Power Up here, and in our surveys, they're going to really come to life in a big, big way at RMGS 2026. So April the 20th through 22nd in Indianapolis at the Westin, right in the heart of downtown, we're going to get the resource management community together for our 7th annual RMGS. And I'll tell you, this is a highlight every year. It is a big, big deal for anyone that's in resource management. If you need process help, data help, tools and technology help, you want to get into AI, all those things are going to be featured heavily at RMGS. I'll tell you, this is the most packed agenda that we've ever had at RMGS. And what I'll tell you is this is the most important RMGS we've ever had as well. It's coming at just a critical time with all the changes that are going on in the services business with AI. I'll say still coming, with AI coming, we've got to get ready for it. And we're going to do that in a big way at RMGS. We have a packed lineup of technology providers that are going to set up in the Tech Expo. Many of them are sitting on panels. Many of them are participating in breakout sessions that they're hosting. They're going to talk about their technology. They're going to talk a lot about AI and how their tools are infusing that in. So I would encourage you, if there's an opportunity for you to get on the road a little bit and go travel, come to Indianapolis and take in RMGS. This is again, the highlight of every year. It's an opportunity for a couple of days to just nerd out. It's one of my favorite comments we've ever had, to just nerd out on all things resource management. And again, I think it's coming at just the right time with everything that's going on in services and in resource management as well. Now, I'll give you a couple of promotional elements. We do have team discounts in place. Registration is still open. If you've got 5 or more from your organization that you'd like to send to RMGS, reach out to us. Reach out to us and we'll get you into our team discount program, save you some money, give you a chance to get to the event and start to collaborate with your team while you're at the event. You'll also get an opportunity to collaborate with RM professionals from across the globe. RMCPs, so for those of you that have been through our RMCP training and certification program, you save an extra $100 off of registration just for being an RMCP. So that's our way of saying thank you for going through the program. So make sure you take advantage of that. If you follow the QR code there at the bottom right-hand portion of the screen, it'll take you out to our event page, and you can check out the agenda. You can check out our planned speakers. You can see all the travel and hotel information, start to explore downtown Indianapolis a little bit, and look at our sponsors as well. And so if you have any questions or are interested in the event, let us know. We'd be happy. We love talking about it. We're super excited for the event coming up. So if you have questions or you want to talk about it, let us know, and we'd be happy to get in touch with you and share a lot more information with you as well. Last thing I want to do is just show you where, for those of you that haven't gone through the RMCP program, you want to get certified. If that's in your plan for 2026, we do have some upcoming RMCP classes that you can register for. We have an in-person class that's tied to RMGS, so good chance to double dip a bit. And if you come to Indianapolis, you can get certified, and in between certification class sessions, you can attend RMGS and then get back on the RMCP program, finish up, leave Indianapolis certified, and have a great experience along the way. So April the 20th through 23rd is our next RMCP class, and then we have some virtual classes that are starting as well. And so you see the dates for that. For those of you that want to go through the program at your own pace and on your own schedule, the on-demand version is fully available as well. And so you can follow the QR code and the link there at the bottom of the screen if that's of interest and a need for you. So with that, I want to say just thank you. We were excited to share the inhibitors data with you and start to get us, on track to moving some of those inhibitors out of the way in our pursuit of greater resource management maturity and the path to resource management excellence. So I hope you found some value in looking at the data and looking what other organizations are struggling with, some of the challenges that they have. Hopefully it made you feel like you're not alone, because you're not. And hopefully we gave you some things that will help get you on the right path to resource management excellence as well. So thank you. We'll see you at RMGS, and then we'll see you again at our Q2 Power Up in June. So have a great rest of the day. We'll see you again soon.